your people. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's peep the squad. Big Pat, Shell, and Dante, the dark job. Drop the stats on them. Drop the facts on them. Spur King, baby. Let's get it on.
Hey, fam, it's your man Dante, the Dark Knight. Welcome to another edition of Eagles Talk. Upon further review, you know we're on during the off season, and I am here to keep us up to date. And because the NFL does a great job of keeping the off season just as interesting as the regular season. And we have some news that we need to discuss. We have some things that we can discuss this week. Just give me a second. I'm flying solo this week. None of my co-hosts are available, but that's cool. We're going to make it happen. Good to have everybody here, and I'm going to send the bat signal out to get some more people out here so we can talk about our birds. Good news, though, today is that we know that Lane and Landon is coming back. Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson had rough years last year. Lane missing the last 7 games of the season with a foot injury, and Landon just not having the year that we're accustomed to him having because of nagging injuries all year long. So he was a trooper, though. He played and he toughed it out. And I guess that shows that our backups weren't that good. They weren't that good because we took a 80%, I would say, 80% Landon Dickerson, and put him out there on the field. And 80% Landon Dickerson obviously was better than 100% whoever the backups were. So that's a cause for concern to me. I think that it'll be imperative that our Philadelphia Eagles shore up that offensive line depth during this offseason here. So we have that to discuss. We also have there's some reports out there that maybe McKee to the Jets. Our old offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, is the offensive coordinator for the Jets, and they are not projected to take a quarterback. I'm hearing that this quarterback class this year is not anything to write home about. So the Jets may pass on selecting a quarterback this year and wait for next year, where I hear that the pickings are a little better next year. So in the meantime, they might want to kick the tires on McKee. What do you feel about that? I think that we need to keep McKee. That's what I think. I think that we need to keep McKee because I don't know. I just, I know Jalen's cemented in the starting spot, but I don't think it hurts to keep a good backup around. And McKee's a good backup, at least for this year. This is the first year of our new coordinator. I would like for him to have a solid backup. And who knows? Some people are saying that Jalen may be on the hot seat. I'm not going to say he's not. I won't say that. But I don't think that he is on a hot seat as some people think. But, this is going to be a trying year for not only the new offensive coordinator, but Nick may be on the hot seat. Jalen may be on the hot seat. So we will discuss that. Also, there's some rumblings about, if AJ is coming back. Now, my stance on that. I always, I love AJ. I didn't agree with the way that he aired out his frustration this year. I think that he should have, I thought that. My opinion is that he should have kept those comments or those feelings in-house. But, he expressed himself the way he felt like he had to. Now, what I don't blame him for is his frustration. His frustration was warranted, as we saw with the lackluster offensive scheme that we ran this year. So I didn't have a problem with him being frustrated. The whole fan base was frustrated this year. So we'll talk about that also. But without further ado, let's get this first quarter started. So you're watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around. That's by us Eagles fans and for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxing manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. You know, not doing the shot, but I am doing an energy drink. So you guys, let's turn up a little bit and talk some birds, because we talk birds all year long. And I love the NFL because they make the offseason interesting. They make it so that we have some things to talk about. So everybody, lift your glasses to, let me get the soundboard up. So to our Philadelphia Eagles, down the hatch, 3, 2, 1. But
you're now listening to the.
All right, do you guys hear that?
Listening to the.
Make sure you hear. You heard the soundboard?
You're now listening to the.
All right, okay. What's up? Let me go to some comments early. The first person in the room is Jack.
To
Jack's the first person in the room tonight. What's up, DK? What's up, Jack? Second person in the room is Mr. Jones. Because hopefully they can stay healthy. And I assume he is talking about Lane and Landon, who announced that they will be back. And Tony Byrne, our resident from down under. Yo, Bird fam, is the footy season yet? No, not yet. I can't wait. Like, you know what I'm saying? I cannot wait. Deshaun is in the house. That's the process. Stephen King is on the hot seat. We done had an offensive coordinator every year, and he still got 11 wins every year. Yeah. You know, some people are safe. I don't know. I don't know if I have more hot seats as others have. But I'm curious to see how this offense does, as we all are. I am curious to see how this offense does, and I would like for our new offensive coordinator to be able to open up his entire playbook, or at the very least, be able to construct an offense that takes full advantage of what Jalen does best. No one's done that quite like Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen is the only one, I think, during Jalen's professional career that has really taken advantage of what he does best. And if you recall, that was the season where he was the runner-up for MVP that year. So hopefully our new coordinator can do the same. He's a young guy, and I got a good feeling about it. I know that he's never called plays before, and all of that. I'm aware of that. I just feel good about some of the systems that he played under and under. I think that, and the buzz around the league.
You're now listening to the.
So I got a better feeling about him being a first-time play caller than I had.
You're now listening to the. You're now listening to the. You're now listening to the.
I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? I didn't take the loop off. I'm sorry. I can't hear. I don't know why I'm not hearing anything. Let me see if I can get that fixed, because I need to hear. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Where are my speakers at? All right, I'm sorry, guys. Let me give me a second here. I want to. Okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, I couldn't hear that. Let me see if I can hear now. Okay, now I can hear. All right, I'm sorry about that, guys. All right, hello, everyone. What are we discussing? We were just discussing the new offensive coordinator and my hopes in that he caters this offense to take advantage of what Jalen Hurts does best. And we haven't had an offensive coordinator quite like that since Shane Steichen, right? Now, we know we also have a dynamic running game as well if our offensive line comes back and returns to the dominant form that we're accustomed to them playing, because they were not at that level last year. And that really, that our running game suffered because of that. Our running game suffered because of that. But I would love to see, and as we all would love to see an explosive, exciting offense, and that takes advantage of all the weapons that we have. Not the year we won the Super Bowl, and I'm okay with that because we have a championship, right? I'm okay with that. But I think that we have enough weapons to take so everyone can eat. I know there's a lot of weapons there, and it's hard to spread the ball around, but I think that we have the talent on this offense that I think everybody can eat. And why shouldn't they? If everybody comes back and plays up to their potential, I think that we should have a very good offense. We should have an explosive offense. And I'm okay with winning in one fashion, being what's that? One-dimensional, because we were almost like one-dimensional when we won the Super Bowl. We were a running team. That was our identity. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But we still had enough talent that when they did shut down the run, as they did in the Super Bowl, we were able to air it out and do very well in doing so. So I just hope that this new Mannion comes in and he brings in a style of offense that's exciting, innovative, and creative. All right. So we also talked about the return, or the announced return, of Lane Johnson. He said he's coming back, and Landon Dickerson is coming back also, because there was a little bit, some whispers that Lane may not be coming back. He was beat up this year, and we saw probably 75% or 80% Landon Dickerson all year, and he gutted it out. I'll give him that, but he was nowhere near his dominant self, the player that we are accustomed to seeing since he's been in the league. He didn't play at that level. And that says something about our backup O-lineman also, because they decided to play an 80% Landon Dickerson over a 100% backup. You know what I mean? So that just speaks to the depth on the offensive line, what we have on the bench. I mean, without Fred Johnson, I don't know where this offensive line would have been last year. And they signed him in training camp. So, I think that should be an area of concern for us, an area that we need to shore up. We need to shore it up for a couple of reasons. Lane is not getting any younger, missing the last 7 games of last season. He's not getting any younger. So we definitely need to find a Lane replacement, right? We need a Lane replacement, and we also need offensive line depth. So my thinking is, first pick of the draft, we need to draft offensive lineman. That was my thinking. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he posed, real big Eagles fan. He likes to chat and talk about hypotheticals. And one of his hypotheticals was to, and I don't know if he got this offline or something, but if it was rumored on Twitter, or somebody mentioned this trade, but it involved trading A.J. Brown and a 5th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for, let me see, let me check out my chat. To the Denver Broncos for, all right, okay. JT let me know also. All right, so it was said Riley Moss, a cornerback, white cornerback. Riley Moss from the Denver Broncos. And okay, so it would be A.J. Brown would go to the Broncos, and a 5th-round pick, and we would get cornerback Riley Moss, a 2nd-round pick of this year's draft, and a 5th-round draft pick for next year. Would we do that? Well, they discussed this on WIP. I said I wouldn't do. I said I wouldn't do it. First of all, because I think AJ is just too talented. I don't think you find a wide receiver as talented as AJ. I don't think it's that easy to do so. AJ to me is a top tier wide receiver. So I wouldn't do that unless there was one condition I said I would consider it. And that is if and only if Howie, Jeffrey have determined that AJ is a cancer or AJ is a problem in the locker room. That would be the only way that I would consider that. And as much as I love AJ, I don't think that we need a cancer in the locker room. That's where I draw the line. And some people might say, well, he's already a cancer. But I told you my perspective. I don't consider him a cancer. I don't have a problem with him being frustrated over that offense because as we saw, that was an offense to be frustrated about. I mean, the rudimentary play calling or play designs and just didn't Patullo just didn't have a feel for calling plays. And it was such that I didn't have a problem with AJ being frustrated. Shoot, we were all frustrated. So I didn't have a problem with that. I did. The only thing I point fingers at is the way he went about communicating that to the public, bringing it outside of the locker room and, causing that disturbance. But other than that, I didn't have a problem with him. And I didn't have a problem with him wanting the ball. What wide receiver doesn't want the ball? You know what I mean? I definitely didn't have a problem with that. And besides that, I'm hearing that he's well liked in the locker room. So with all that information, I've come up with that I don't think that he's a bad guy. I really don't. I think he was just frustrated. And, stars get frustrated when they're not getting the ball and when they think that the offense is trash. You know what I'm saying? When they think the offense is trash. So it would have to be Howie and Jeffrey would have to determine that he was a cancer in the locker room for me to be on board with a trade like that. And I don't know much about Riley. What's his name? Riley Moss or whatever his name is. I don't know much about him. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. All right. So Pat is in the chat room. He says no trade AJ, period. Yeah, I don't like that. JT says, I think I sell my firstborn to keep AJ. I don't want to go back to small wide receiver. I don't either. Now, there was a situation where a team let their star wide receiver go, a big-time wide receiver also, kind of built like AJ, and that was DK Metcalf. Seattle let DK Metcalf go, but the difference there was they had a replacement for DK Metcalf. They had Smith Najibba. And as we can see, he was definitely ready for a breakout season because he was Offensive Player of the Year. Now, they had a replacement for him. We don't have a replacement for AJ. And I'm not talking about Devontae. Devontae's not a replacement. He's already here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not replacing AJ because he's here already. You know what I mean? He would just, his role would probably step up to wide receiver one. We know he can do that. He did that in his rookie year. We know that he can do that. But who's going to be on the other side? Who's going to be the replacement for AJ? Jahan Dotson? I don't think he's an adequate replacement for AJ. And I think that after Devontae, the talent level of the wide receivers kind of drops off. I mean, it's nowhere, we go from Devontae and AJ to what, and Jahan's a free agent. So we would have to bring him back, first of all. But other than that, no, I don't think that we could do that. I don't think that would be in our best interest to do something like that without a viable replacement for him. Now, the same friend did pose a workaround, though. He said, boo, boo, boo. He said, how about if AJ has to go, we sign Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver. And then And then, yeah, Shaheed. I like Shaheed, but I don't like him better than I like AJ. I don't like him better than I like AJ. So, no. Hey, what's up? John Batiste is in the house. You know, it's on site every time I see you. It's on site, John. But no, I didn't like that either. So we need to keep AJ. Let's see what this offensive coordinator does, our new offensive coordinator. Now, I don't know how long we go. We've been going about 2 weeks, right? So did I share this thought or this philosophy? I don't know if I did. If I did, let me know if I'm being redundant. But here is our solution to the OC carousel. I don't know if I gave you this my perspective. Here's our solution to the OC carousel, because we still face this problem even with our new OC, and he hasn't even called to play yet, right? But we still face the possibility that he comes in and he is what the league, or what they're saying around the league, a brilliant young offensive mind, you know, in the light or the frame of McVay or LaFleur and the such. So, you know, there's a possibility that after this year, if he has some success, that somebody may poach him from us. And here's the solution. We need to hire, and it could be him, I don't know, but we need to hire, and this is where it gets tricky, you know what I mean, because we already have a head coach, but we need to hire a head coach who can call their own plays. Just think about it. Think about it for a minute. How much would that relieve? I mean, this would just solve that problem, period. If we had a head coach that could call plays, we would not have to worry about this every year, because we would have our play caller as our head coach. Much like Andy Reid in Kansas City, much like Sean McVay, much like Matt LaFleur, much like what's my guy name in Chicago? Much like these guys who are offensive-minded head coaches and they call their own plays. They don't have to worry about that. If someone comes along and wants their OC, they're not lost. They don't have to implement a whole new offense because they're calling the plays. You know, and that, I think that would solve a lot of our problems, especially the up and down. Now, the tricky part is we already have a head coach, right? So how will we do that? You know, it's easy to say if we ever move off of Sirianni, that'd be a great thing to put on the list in searching for the next head coach. If we ever move off of Sirianni, put that at the top of the list. We need a play calling head coach. But what about this scenario? How about Mannion does good this year? I mean, really good. I mean, the offense looks really good. I mean, he brings in he brings in that McVay, Shanahan energy, creative. He's an excellent play caller, and our offense looks dynamic. Do we let him out the door? Is it a possibility that I would consider letting Sirianni go before I let this guy go, depending on how good that offense is? Call me crazy. I don't know. Call me crazy. But you know how I feel about Sirianni. I love the guy. Thank him so much for the success that he's had, but I give most of the credit to this team's success since he's been here to Howie Roseman, providing him with a very talented roster. And that does sound familiar. I know you guys know I've been saying that all along. So I know that sounds like a broken record, but that's where I am. You know, if he's that good, if he is that good, I'd be willing to keep him and let Sirianni go. I really would. Promote Nick to assistant GM or some made up ass job. Yeah, look, John, you with me? We're here. That's what I'm doing. Something like that. You knew I was going to say that, JT. You knew I was going to say that. Yeah, I love Nick, but I absolutely love that idea. Yeah, I do. I do too. Richie's in the house. He said, I'm late, but I read a couple of different spots. Thought Nick was going to call plays this year. Nah, Nick can't. Man, we already tried that Nick calling plays stuff, man. Nick is not a play caller, and you probably already know I'm a little disappointed that he's not able to do that. Because that would have solved a lot of our problems. But not only is he not a good play caller, it doesn't seem that he's a great play design person either. I mean, his offense we've been running for the past 5 years, some form or fashion of it. Even when Kellen Moore was here, I know they infused some of his philosophies into the offense, but for the most part, they folded in a lot of Nick's schemes and the such. So I don't think he's an offensive. I don't think he's a brilliant offensive mind. Let me put it that way. I don't think that is Nick Sirianni's strong suit offense, even though he came in as an offensive coach. I think that we have found out in 5 years that he is not the next McVay. He's not the next Shanahan. He's not one of these brilliant young offensive minds. I think that we can all agree on that. If not, let me know in the chat room. But I'm going to end this quarter. So you are. Let me go to end this quarter.
And that's the end of the quarter.
You're watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles cover show around. That's by us Eagles fans and for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team. That is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. I'm doing an energy drink tonight. Nobody else? Let me know what you're doing out there in the chat room, and we'll continue this conversation of the latest news surrounding the Eagles. So everybody, lift your glasses to our Philadelphia Eagles. Down the hatch. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the second quarter.
All right, all that aside, they are still putting together the brain trust for the offense. I forget. I need an intern actually. But they did hire. They hire. Jeez, they hired an offensive line coach, I believe. And let me know. Anybody update me? Offensive Eagles offensive line coach. No. They're probably going to say Stoutland, but it's not Stoutland. Oh, Chris Cooper. He is Jeff Stout. So he's going to be the new offensive line coach. And who else did they hire? They hired somebody else. Who's the quarterback's coach? They're still putting together that offensive brain trust for the new offensive for the new offensive coordinator here. And I am what's this? 3 days ago, the Eagles expected to name Parks Frazier new quarterback's coach. Is that it? I'm just looking through some headlines. So I don't know. They're still putting together his brain trust, and and of course, that's going to be key to what goes on. Madden. I knew you was going to say that. Yes, sir. All right. So they're still assembling. this offensive brain trust, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the offense. I hope that, again, he constructs an offense that takes advantage of what Jalen does best. But I hope that he does not shy away from those things that he doesn't do well. I hope that he challenges Jalen to work on that part of his game that he needs to be better at. I know you can't teach stronger arm strength. Like, you either have that or you don't. You can probably help it a little bit, but you're not going to turn somebody who doesn't have a rocket arm into a person who has a rocket arm. I get that. But, some of the other across the middle things that we hear that he doesn't do those things well. I think that you can work on those type of things, timing and stuff like that, those type of routes. So I hope that he doesn't shy away from those type of routes and plays and kind of challenges Jalen. I hope Jalen challenges himself to work on those things and to improve. I was just listening to a podcast that played some of Kobe's interviews when he was alive, and that's how Kobe would attack it. Like if there was a weakness that he had, you best believe in that offseason he was working on improving that weakness. He talked about shooting air balls in playoffs, and his whole offseason routine was to train to make sure that he had his legs were strong at the end of the 82 game season. So he was one of those who would attack his weaknesses to get better. And I thought Jalen was that type of person. I can't say that he's not, but from what I gathered his first few years, he seemed like he had that Mamba mentality. I would say it all the time. Jalen has the Mamba mentality. But after this year and hearing what I'm hearing about what he doesn't want to do or what he doesn't do well, kind of surprised me because I thought he was one of those, ones that went out and worked on those things that he was not good at or that he was weak in. Everybody has things that they don't do well. And I thought Jalen was one of those that would challenge himself to improve in that area. Our Eagles will be back. I hear that. I'm agreeing with that. I'm in agreement with that. I know we have, let's talk about the free agents because we have well, not we, but Howie has some very difficult decisions to make on who we keep and who we let go. I think he likes 21 personnel. Rumors have as landing Kyle Pitts either pair with Goddard or to replace him. Same buddy texted me about that today. I'm not against Kyle Pitts. He's a talented receiving tight end, very talented. But if I had to, and my buddy asked me, would I take Kyle Pitts over Goddard? And I wouldn't. I'd have to be honest. I would not take Kyle Pitts over Goddard. I know what I have in Goddard. Goddard's a great tight end. Pitts is a great wide receiver playing tight end. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense, he's just a big receiver playing tight end, in my opinion. Goddard is a prototypical tight end. He blocks as well as a good route runner and has good hands. So I would take Goddard actually over Kyle Pitts. But don't get me wrong, we know that we have some tough decisions to make, especially when it comes down to salary. So I guess it's going to be best fit salary-wise. But if I had my choice, all things being even, I would take Goddard. Goddard has always been clutch for us. And I don't know, if can Pitts handle, all that's going on in our offense, and what I mean by that, with all the talent that we have, can you come in here and check your ego at the door? Because there may be times when you're not featured and you may be the third option a lot of times, because that's what Goddard has had to deal with since his time here. And I think that he's handled it like a pro. You imagine A.J. Brown having to play a role like Goddard. If he could do that, I don't know. But it takes a big man to be able to check your ego at the door and do whatever is necessary for the good of the team. Everybody can't do that. Some people admittedly tell you that they can't do that. They want to have the ball. So I don't know if Kyle Pitts is that type of person. I know he's a talented receiving tight end. It sounds funny that someone as talented as him that I'm saying that I wouldn't take him, but that's just the truth. I'm just saying what's on my mind. I'm speaking my truth. All right, damn sure step up from Grant can't block Calcaterra. Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jeremiah. What is your thoughts on Dean? Ah, man, you know I would love to keep Dean. I was just reading an article before coming on the air where he may be leaving. And one of the landing spots, I think this article was talking about him possibly going to the Cardinals and reuniting with a coach. Or another place was, I forget, wherever we had our assistant linebackers coach just got a job. Ronell Williamson. I forget what team it is, but he's now the linebackers coach for another team. And they said that may be a good place, a good landing spot for Nakobe. I would love to have Nakobe back. I know that Vic Fangio would love to have Nakobe back, but the writing was kind of on the wall when we drafted my guy. I forget. Forgetting his name. Our rookie linebacker. The writing was kind of on the wall then, and he's not, and he's good. He's good. He's not Nakobe yet, but that's just a matter of time before he is Nakobe. As far as experience, he's just a young guy, but he has all the explosiveness, the athleticism. He can cover out the backfield. He is just, Jahad Campbell, yeah. So he's just not as seasoned as Nakobe. But this is one of those decisions that I'm talking about that's going to be the tough decision in this offseason because we've got to make some other choices along the same lines. I think Nakobe might be, out of those decisions, I think Nakobe might be the most talented, right? If we think about it. Let me see. I pulled it up. Let me see who our free agents are on defense. We got Reed Blankenship. We keep him. Hold on. Let me see. On defense, Reed Blankenship, Marcus Epps, Adoree Jackson. All right, those not. Nakobe definitely the best out of that group right there. Edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, Uche, Ajare, and I can't even pronounce this other guy's last name. But yeah, our most talented defensive player who's going to be a free agent is Nakobe Dean. And that is a tough thing to consider letting him go. He definitely would have to, and he says he wants to be here. So hopefully that means something. I don't know if he's going to, I'm curious as to what kind of discount he would give the team. There's a such thing as being reasonable, and then you gotta get your worth too. You know what I mean? There's a balance there. How much is enough? So I hope that we can keep him. I hope that we can retain him, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Reed Blankenship may be even, leaving also. But in the chat room, let me know, because I'll give you this. All right, so on edge, we have Jalen Phillips, Brandon Graham, Uche, Ajari, and I forget the other guy. Who are you keeping out of that group? Right? And if you have the list, let me know who are your must keeps and who are you letting go? Because I don't think we're going to be able to keep everybody. But give me your top priority. On offense, we got Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson, A.J. Dillon, Fred Johnson, Kellen Granson, tight end. So let me know what you guys are thinking about our free agency. Grant Calcaterra, he's up. All right, they're unrestricted. Adoree Jackson. I know y'all not. Nobody's going to lose sleep over Adoree leaving, right? Uh, but we do need a replacement. Fred Johnson, I think we need to bring him back. The punter, Brad Mann, Phillips, Pryor, Tall. Yeah, we got some decisions to make. Let me see. So let me see what you guys are saying. We need to keep Phillips. I like Phillips too. I think we need to keep him. Dean is hurt every year. That doesn't bode well for him staying. But he is the best blitzing linebacker in the league. You are right about that, John. JT, you're right. But we got Campbell. You're right, Sue. We got Campbell. And Campbell is a up. He's very promising. Very promising. And that's why I don't know if Dean is coming back. I don't know if Dean is coming back. Because we need it would be, and I think that we kind of projected this or wanted to see this. We wanted to see Dean stay in the middle and hope and maybe Jihad transition to more of an edge rusher. We didn't see that this year. I don't even know if it's possible. If he can make that adjustment or that change. And I don't want to lessen his effectiveness by forcing a square peg into a round hole. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work all the time. He does have the body seemingly to be able to do that. But, some people just that's not what they do. I don't know if it'll work. But what I do know is he can play linebacker. I do know that. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a tough one, man. That's going to be a tough one. Pryor can kick rocks, JT says. Pryor can kick rocks. I hear that. All right, let me end this quarter, man. I'm going too long in these quarters. I'm going to end this quarter.
And that's the end of the quarter.
All right, you're watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around. That's by us Eagles fans and for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. So I'm doing the energy drink. You guys haven't let me know anything in the chat room. So I guess this is a dry Thursday, and that's cool. That's all right, because if you're an adult, you have a beverage, then that is your adult beverage. So let's turn one up for our Philadelphia Eagles on 3. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the third quarter.
All right, third quarter. So we got to have a spot for BG. He said if Howie calls, he's coming back. Yeah. Orangeburg in the house. Go Birds. That's right. We from down there. I'm from down there. My family hails from Bowman, South Carolina. Gregory, what's going on? McBride. Yeah, my family hails from Bowman, right down the street from you guys. So welcome to Eagles Talk. All right, so, man, I would hate to lose Nakobe, man. That boy, you know why? Not only is he very, very talented. We know that. Best blitzing linebacker, as someone put in the chat. We know that. Very, very talented. But his intangibles, how do you replace that? Nakobe is the heartbeat of that defense. There was a change. I mean, Jihad played his behind off prior to Nakobe being healed enough to come back into the lineup, right? And he was probably a front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, he was that good. But even being that good, there was a huge difference when Nakobe was inserted into that starting lineup. Huge difference, not only talent-wise, but the energy. He's a natural-born leader on that defense, and that's the part that would be hard to lose. That would be hard to lose that. That you can't teach that. You either have that or you don't. And Nakobe had it. Unfortunately, Nakobe was injury prone during his time here. And that is probably why they drafted Jihad in the first place. as an insurance policy because of N'Kobe's history. But again, I can't take anything away from him. He is a natural born leader. And if we lose that, that is going to be a big blow. But, my man Vic, and Vic I trust. I know he will have that defense playing at a high level. Again, he'll find that next leader. But I think that if we talk to Vic, if it was up to him, he'd have N'Kobe back. So we'll see how that plays out. Do we bring? I'll say that. Do we bring back Reed Blankenship? Tell me about that. Do we bring him back? Huh? Do we have a replacement? Our rookie, is he? We got it. I don't know. What we doing? What we doing? I don't know. We have some tough decisions. Jahan Dotson. Oh, does he come back? What do? We have some big decisions to make. I can't wait. And this is why we're on all year, because we have these things to talk about. And these are going to be stories that we monitor, that we keep an eye on. We have to retool and come back, not too long from now. We're going to have to pay the young guys on defense. And this is why it's important to take advantage of what's going on now, because our window may be closing somewhat. I know Howie is a genius, but when you have this, when players when you have the success that a GM like Howie has, it puts you in these type of dilemmas. It puts you in these type of dilemmas. See, there's no dilemmas if you're hitting on 20% of your draft picks. There's no dilemma there. It's easy to make decisions. When your talent that you drafted is no good, it's not hard to move off of some people. But when you have success, when you're successful in not only signing free agents and people wanting to come here, but when you're successful through the draft, that causes some problems. I mean, they're good problems to have, but they cause dilemmas here because now decisions have to be made. And Howie's been doing okay in the draft room. So, we're going to have to pay Jalen Carter coming up, have to pay the big guy, Jordan Davis, coming up. These guys are good players, right? It wouldn't be hard if they were not. We're going to have to pay the young secondary. He's drafted well. He's drafted well. And you can't pay everyone. So there's going to be some tough decisions. We paid our offense a couple years ago, gave everybody their money. Devontae, AJ, Jalen. We gave them the offensive line. We gave them their money. And then we went and got cheap labor on defense through the draft. And so that afforded us the opportunity to stay competitive, right? Even go out and get some free agents if we need it. Well, now we're going to have to flip that switch. We're going to have to start paying some of these defensive players, stars that we have. And we're probably going to be looking for cheap offensive labor, but in the interim, as that's happening, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. And that window of opportunity may not look the same as it looks now. Because right now you look at it, even with the tough decisions that we have to make, you look at it, we still have a very talented roster. We do. And that window could be closing as these contracts come up and we have to decide on who we're going to give money to. It's hard to keep a lot of talent when everybody's good. So that's why I don't have a lot of patience when it comes to things like coaching and making these moves that are going to help us to win and continue to win. See, I'll move off of somebody quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like I just brought it up a little earlier about the offensive coordinator. If this guy is the guy, he's the next Mike Shanahan, he's the next McVay, I don't want him out the building. I want him to stay here. You know what I mean? So We have some tough decisions. Let me see what you guys are saying in the room. Doing the beatbox, and Steen can join. Steen, you want to kick Steen out? Rachel's in the house. Rachel, what's going on? JT says college, but he's a hell of a linebacker. Jihad is good, but doesn't trust his instinct versus the run. And that's just a young linebacker thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that's a knock against Jihad. He's just not as seasoned as N'Kobe, but he's athletic. He's good. And he does a lot because of his athleticism. And once he settles down and learns the game more and becomes more comfortable and it slows down for him, oh, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Yes, bring Reed back, but no huge contract. Yeah, Makuba will be back. Yeah, we need Makuba back. And I'm looking for Makuba to take a step up. We need that. Now, Reed is not a must bring back. We can get someone in free agency or the draft. All right, as long as Howie ship all our players to the AFC. Don't let us have to face them. I heard Mannion may try to get Dobbs from his old team, Green Bay. That would make Dotson expendable. Oh, yeah, that would. JT, oh, no, I'm not chastising you. I'm agreeing. Okay, you guys are having your own private discussion there. All right, and I think Darius Cooper's is a diamond in the rough. I like that. I like Darius Cooper also, but you know, as we talked about AJ early, I do like Darius Cooper. I like him, right? And as a third receiver, I like him. Not a replacement for AJ though. So and I think we're past that AJ getting traded talk. All right, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse there. We're not trading AJ over our dead bodies. At least mine. At least I think us in this setting here, I'll agree that we kind of like AJ. Now I've heard others on sports talk radio that they're tired of and all that, and I get it. That's your choice. That's your opinion. But I'm not from that camp. I'm not of that camp. I like AJ, man. And again, I don't think that you can easily replace AJ Brown. Now, I talked about Seattle doing it with DK Metcalf, but they had a Smith Najiba in the wings waiting to come. We don't have a Smith Najiba in the wings. Darius Cooper is not a Smith Najiba in the wings waiting. He's not on that level. So we would be losing. It'd be a big hole, I think. I think it would be a big hole. So I want AJ back. I like AJ. What else? Plus, we got that big 6'7" boy, Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson, we still got him? Do we? I didn't know that. Steen can go. Oh, yeah, I didn't. I'm glad you brought that up, John. Becton is going to be, they're going to release Becton. And it seems like a no-brainer. Bring him back to where he had his most success, right? That's easy, right? Well, what's not so easy is because I was thinking about this. Stoutland is not here anymore. Stoutland is not here. You just cannot automatically expect that Becton is going to return to the form that he had when we won the Super Bowl. Because out of his years in the league, he's only played to that level under Stoutland. He didn't play to that level with the Jets, whoever their offensive line coach was. And he didn't play to that level last year after having an outstanding year here in Philadelphia. He wasn't able to play to that level again under another offensive line coach. So is it something that only Stoutland can bring out in him? We have to consider that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's worth, bringing him back. But I'm just saying I don't think that anything is etched in stone that he's going to return to that high level of play in which he, displayed during our Super Bowl winning season. I don't think that's a lock. If that was the case, I think that he should have done that last year, right? Maybe it's the scheme. I don't know. Or maybe it's, we always talked about Stoutland University. Some players, maybe that's the only reason why he was able to play to that level. DK Seattle also didn't have a Smitty. Yeah, he didn't have a Smitty, but he was he still had some. They had some good receivers out there in Seattle. Don't get it twisted. They had some good receivers, but Smith Najuba was definitely a dominant and rough. If Cap hit wasn't so high, would you move AJ? No, I wouldn't. I still wouldn't do it if it wasn't that high. All right, I'm gonna cut this quarter short just so I can get 4 quarters in. So I'm going to end this quarter here, and we'll continue the discussion in the fourth quarter.
And that's the end of the quarter.
All right, I need to put a timer up here so that I can have 4 equal quarters. I used to have one early in our career. So anyway, you're watching Eagles Talk, the most unique Eagles coverage show around. That's by us Eagles fans and for us Eagles fans. And here on Eagles Talk, we like to talk about our favorite football team, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. We do so in such a relaxed manner that we enjoy our favorite adult beverage in the form of shots. And if you are an adult and you're drinking a beverage, then that's an adult beverage. So let's lift our glasses and get this fourth quarter on the road. Down the hatch. 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to the fourth quarter. You're now listening to the fourth quarter.
My bad. Remix. All right. Oh, you live in Seattle, Richie? All right. Keep that Jake Elliott kicker or get someone new. Oh no, we got to get somebody new, man. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm done with Jake. I'm sorry. Jake had a whole year to get it together, and I don't know. I think I'm done. I think I'm out on Jake. John Patisse says it's already. Let me see. It's already been announced that Lane and Landon are coming back. Yeah, I said that earlier. Cam Jurgens is in Colombia getting that good stem cell treatment. Yeah, we need these guys to come back and have a bounce back year if we have any hopes of making a Super Bowl run. It's going to be dependent upon the trenches. We've always built from the inside out, and our trenches have to be solid. And they were not last year, not on the offensive side of the ball. And it showed up big time. I know I put a lot of blame on Patullo, but there's some blame that has to go to the offensive line play of last year. That was just not up to our standards that we're accustomed to seeing for the past 3 or 4 years. Was nowhere. They were a shell of themselves, actually, when you think about it. When you think about the offensive line play we have been getting for the past 3 or 4 years, last year was definitely a big drop in production. And I get it. They were beat up. I talked about earlier of Landon Dickerson playing hurt most of the year, never really being all right. I mean, I think he had surgery in the preseason, in training camp, and he never was the same all year. It was probably an injury that needed much more time for him to heal, but he's a warrior. He got out there, and he tried to do the best he could. Lane Johnson suffered that foot injury, missed the last 7 games of the season, and we don't win without Lane. We don't win a lot of games without Lane. So that was probably a telltale sign that this was not going to be a long playoff run there. And I didn't want one. I didn't want a long playoff run. Me personally as a fan, I sacrificed this playoff run to get rid of Patullo. I didn't want to see not one win because I knew that if we won one game, they would probably try to justify bringing him back. And I didn't want any parts of Patullo coming back here after seeing what we saw last year with the offense. And I get it. Yeah, the offensive line was hurt and stuff like that, but there were other telltale signs that it wasn't going well. And that was when you looked at the play design, when you looked at the play calling flow, those things the offensive line can't help. If they were healthy, they couldn't help that. So we had to take one on the chin. for the betterment of the team, so that we can get a new offensive coordinator in here, and hopefully Mannion is that guy. And if he is that guy, I'll go back. I'll circle back around. I'm going to stand on it. If he is that guy, I don't want to let him out the building. I don't want to let him out the building. Someone suggested earlier, let's move Nick to the front office and keep this guy. If he's that good, if this offense turns around and we finally see, because let's think about this. Let's be objective here. Do we think that we have ever gotten the full potential of this offense? I mean, since we've gotten Saquon, and albeit the year we won the Super Bowl, I mean, how can you can't sneeze at that. We won the Super Bowl. We won the whole thing. So that offense had to be considered pretty good. I mean, I know it was a dominant run game, at least, right? But overall, was it that explosive? It was pretty dominant. I can't deny that. It was pretty dominant. Even if it was more one-dimensional, right? But do we think that we have really taken full advantage of all of our weapons since Saquon has been here? Like, it seems like our offense should be even more dynamic than that, right? And I'm not knocking that offense. That was a great year. I mean, 2,000 yards on the ground for Saquon, and basically, we imposed our will on the ground that year. So that was great. But with our wide receivers and all that, man, I think that it should even been more dynamic than that. And that's what I'm hoping that Mannion will bring to the table. An offense that's balanced and dominant. Balanced and dominant. But, if it's not, I'll take a one-dimensional, dominant offense. I'll take a one-dimensional dominant offense if it's going to lead to another Super Bowl run. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to look a certain way. DK, want to send some of the cider from there? What cider? What kind of cider y'all got? Yeah, tell me about the cider. Lane Instant, Hall of Fame inductee, you know that. And Howie, I trust, can't wait till free agency. I know. Miami was smart taking him in his previous position. I don't think Howie will do much before the draft. Who we select in the draft will determine who becomes expendable. Well, we better be getting an offensive lineman. That's what we better be getting in the first round. That's we need an offensive lineman first round. That's a priority. After seeing last year and talking about how this offensive line was not dominant, and I think a big part of its downfall was injuries, it's imperative that we have that everybody come back healthy, number one, but that we have a solid bench behind them, right? And on top of that, we need to find Lane Johnson's replacement. So, yeah, I think our first round draft, going into the draft this year, I was thinking first 2 rounds. I haven't thought past the first 2 rounds, but I was thinking, all right, we need offensive lineman and a corner. We need a corner to play opposite of Quinyon, because that was just ridiculous. I mean, Adoree Jackson kind of settled down as the season went along, but there was times when he was not looking good at all. So I would love to draft a corner that's going to be here for a while, a young guy, to hold it down on the other side of Quinyon. Now, if that could be had in free agency, that's good. If so, I would take 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds. That's how much. That's how bad we need offensive linemen. I would take 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds. If we address the cornerback situation through free agency, I don't know. No, we have not. There's always been meat left on the bone. Don Batiste, JT says, Eagles fans, that what trade AJ to not remember all the small wide receivers that weren't bullies. Yeah, I know. And people talk about AJ losing a step or whatever. AJ has never been a burner. Let's not mistaking that. He's never been a burner. He's always been a bully. You know what I mean? So I hear the knock on, looking at AJ last week. Oh, he's not getting separation. He was never a burner where he got a lot of separation. But he's going to get the ball. 50-50 balls are his. He's going to do that. And he's fast enough. So, you can't teach what AJ can do. Let's not forget the games where he just dominated, where we just threw the ball to AJ. We just threw it up to AJ. When we needed yards, we just threw it up to him, and he would have got it. There were a lot of games, especially that year when Jalen was runner-up. That year when he got 1,300 yards or something around there, 1,500 yards or something around that neighborhood. AJ is a beast, and I think that he is still a beast. So yeah, I'm not one that wants to get rid of that type of production, that type of talent. So let's bring AJ back. Let's figure out the rest of that stuff. Let's figure out all that other stuff. All right, but we need to bring AJ back. All right, man. I just did this fourth quarter just so that I could get 4 quarters in, but I am past my time. We are, what are we? Oh, hour and 6. Okay. Past our time a little bit. All right, I'm going to get out of here, but we're going to come back next week. No, not next week. We're doing bi-weekly. My crew didn't, my cast, my co-host couldn't make it tonight. I had something to do, but I couldn't leave you guys hanging. We have to come on here. We have to talk about our birds. This is therapy for all of us, and especially me. So come back next week. Not next week, I'm sorry. We're going to do the week after next. Come back the week after next. We're going to do a bi-weekly till further notice in the off season. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Come back. I want you guys, I got some homework for you. This is what I want you to do. I want you to write down, let's say we can bring back, I'll give you guys 5. We bring back 5. Nah, that's too many. I don't know. All right, yeah, I'll give you 5. All right, you got 5 free agents that we can bring back. Who are you bringing back? Out of our free agents, you can bring back 5. Have your list ready in 2 weeks. I want to go over the list. I want to see what 5 you want to bring back. All right, so I'm your man, DarkKnight, for my co-hosts, Pat and Nichelle, in their absence. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have your homework ready to be graded. 5 Eagle free agents that you will bring back. All right. We'll see you then. I'm out. I'm your man. Peace.